Hey, it's your favorite educator, Rashida Roberts here at the Cash Flow Convo, brought to you by Target-Financial.com, where we're talking about how to increase your cash flow and the crucial cash flow conversations about everyday finances with real people and real results. I hope everyone is doing well out there. Thanks for stopping by to get a dose of money motivation. Catch us every Thursday on your favorite podcast program. And don't forget to crush the like button, hit the keys, and leave us a comment. Tell us where you're from and share this episode with family and friends. Actually, go get your favorite drink and snacks right now and talk about this episode and start a combo of your own. Look, go to thecashflowcombo.com to check out more of our resources and to be a guest on our show. We want to hear real stories, real questions, and real results from everyday folks and even some of our experts. Now, let's dive into the Cash Flow Combo, where we target your mind and your money.
So first of all, I just want to say that was so cool, and you got to teach me how to make me one because the intro was amazing and so beautiful. What did you make that with?
I did that with Canva.
Really?
Yeah, Canva.
Because I use Canva, but I never made nothing look like that, Rashida.
Oh, yeah, that's my that's my hidden jewel that one of my business partners, she's like, you need to market that because you were so good at like little.
Yes, it looks so good, girl. Like I'm gonna have to sit on Canva all night and make me one.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
But so welcome. Look, this is our first time being on, and look, we just became friends. I think somebody tagged me in one of your posts for your session for Friday night, but I already had something going on.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
welcome. Well, I'm Rashida Roberts here with Target Financial, and it's actually been a while since I've done a show. So thanks for the invite. We do have somebody else coming on because I invite everybody to say, hey, this is a quick topic, but you know, it's a little controversial. And so I have another guest. He wanted to pop in, but he gonna remain incognito.
He don't want to be put on the spot. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, which is okay. It's okay. That's fine. But we invite all comments. Yes, we're gonna be talking about how broke men are more toxic in relationships than women are when they are broke women. Put it like that, okay? Because we all have our financial woes and different things going on. But I just wanted you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. I did put your link in the and your link tree in the description, but I'll make sure I tag you and everything, and that way people can connect with you if they relate to what you got to say, because you know we're all here network and lift each other up.
Yes. So thank you so much for this. I didn't realize we're doing a show, so I'm super happy, super excited to be here. I am Parker K. Brown, founder of Brown Girls Purple Lips, which is a social platform for brown women to help them encourage them to find and utilize their voices. So on our platform, what I do is I actually interview women from across the world on our podcast. We have several virtual events monthly that tackle, you know, our health taboo topics that we're taught that we can't speak about. We talk about finances with Funds Friday. Rashida, I would love to have you at one coming up soon. So just a space for brown women to come together, feel supported, be uplifted in our personal lives as well as our businesses as well. In addition to being the founder and a CEO of Brown Girls Purple Lips, I also am a business consultant, and I love working with entrepreneurs. In particular, I love working with introverts because I'm an introvert, and I had to teach myself to get over all my introverted ways so that I could bloom in business, and I'm here to teach other introverts the same. So that's my spiel.
Awesome. Super. Yes, that's great. Look, because that is, I am in that category. I don't like being on camera, but y'all see a little bit. I saw your little purple makeup. I was like, let me put on a little something.
I know, and you beat me to it because I was like, oh, I'm late. I tried to get the other link. I couldn't find it. So yeah, I usually don't ever go live without purple lipstick on, but I was just like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, I bet you she gonna come with her purple lipstick.
Girl, it's somewhere. It's usually in my pocket because I always have it on.
I was like, let me look like somebody today. So, but
Oh,
yeah,
you're
but
beautiful.
this is impromptu.
Yeah, it
So let
is.
me read y'all the scenario that I posted on Facebook, and I don't even know how I was reading somebody's post on Instagram today, and they were talking about um femininity, if you can turn femininity and masculinity off, on and off, or whatever. I don't know, but that kind of triggered this particular topic. And so I wrote, most broke women are not as toxic as broke men, so dating a broke woman carries less toxic risks. Dating a broke man brings on a lot of toxic habits in a relationship. Most men carry their ego in their wallets because that's the nature of societal norm for a man. So when they're broke, they're bruised harder than women whose roles are more subservient in nature and in our society. So hashtag find the lie, hashtag discuss your truth. So I put that out there because I wanted to have a conversation. I wanted to talk about it. Um, I can tell you my personal views on it. But let's see, what do you have to say? I always you're the guest, so what do you have to say? And I'll backdoor with
Um,
what I think.
no, well, so I think it's very, what's the word? It's a lot of tears to that. That's like a cake, right? I think when I first read it, I could see clearly like where you're coming from. Men usually do carry their egos in their wallets. It's all about what they can spend, what they can purchase, how flashy they could be a lot of the times. Where women, that's not, always the case with us. I mean, there may be a percentage of women like that, but that's not us across the board, right? We're more about nurturing, caring about people than we are, kind of showboaty or letting people know that we have things, right? So, but I thought about the fact that there's a lot more pressure on men to actually be providers. So that may be why they have that ego issue when it comes to money, when it comes to like feeling they have to show off or let everybody know, and that's why their ego is so bruised when they do not have money. And also the expectation of them causes them to have a worse behavior, right? Because it's like a standard that they're not able to live up to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Um, we can hear
Oh,
you,
sorry.
but you're breaking up a lot.
Sorry. I
Okay.
was just saying that they have. Can you hear me any better or no?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
better.
I was just saying that I feel like men have a standard that is placed on them, and when they're not able to live up to that standard, they probably come off more toxic because it's kind of like a bigger blow for them. Like it's what they're expected to do that they're not doing. Whereas women, when we have times of not having money or not taking care of ourselves as we usually do, it can be seen as, maybe not as bad in society eyes, right? There's all these services in the world for women. When women, need food or have children and need support, they have a lot more services in the world for that than men do. There's a lot more opportunities for women to be helped when they're, quote unquote, down bad than there is for men. So I think that has a lot to do with, how they react and why they are, maybe so toxic in a manner, or seem to be more toxic than women when they don't have money.
I'm
You're
on.
muted.
No, no.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's true. Your point where you talked about, there are, well, one, men do feel more that pressure is put on them. That's why, I said societal norms. And,
Hmm.
personally, my perspective is that is the nature of the man as well. It comes from like, there's an essence. That's what it is. And in our culture, that's what it is, because I know there are other, tribes in other countries where the women are the forefront. They go out, they hunt, they do that or whatever, and the men do something different. But
Hmm.
both women and men, we all have protective roles. But when you don't, money in America is like what we is the status that we see what that provides, even though that's not the
Right.
only way to provide and be protective, but that is the number one. I would say that's the number one way that we show, that we try to show, and that we relay that message that this is how you provide, for your family or whatever. I know those that way of thinking is changing, and people are trying to, change it, but I still think the majority of people are always going to put that, I wouldn't even say put the pressure. It's just like girl, and I don't know. I've had these conversations before, but that's just part of being a man. Like that's just what it is. You protect your family. You put down a seed. Your seed is, here. You protect it. You nurture it. You grow it, and you try to make sure that nothing gets in the way and harm it, and you provide for it. And so, but it's just hard when. Because and I'm speaking from personal relationships. Personally, I've seen, the men that I've been with that haven't, and it's like, I don't judge anybody, right? Like, but a lot of women will take on broke men. And from I mean, okay, from me personally, but even just personally watching friends and their dating choices, it just depends on how you grow up, It depends on how you grow up, how you're bred, what people are saying to you, and the different experiences that you go through. There's like, I met somebody, they're like, whoa, I've never met somebody like you, because I'm like quiet, shy when it comes to relationship or whatever. I usually let the man dominate, in his area or whatever. And I, trying to be caring and, doing all of the stuff that, quote
the
unquote,
femininity.
And so, but I just feel that a lot of times is that when you don't allow a man to be in that provider role, I don't know, there's just some whack stuff that happens. Some barriers are crossed. When you're trying to pay the rent, pay the car, you're paying everything. Because I did date someone when I was younger, like they were laid off when we first got into the relationship. And we see that, and we're trying to help out, and we're trying to do everything for them, when I mean, that's great. There's a place and time for that. But I like what Tora Sense, I don't know if you follow her, but she talks about relationships. She's like, that's a struggle relationship. Like, why are you getting into a struggle relationship? But I just haven't had there's been no good from dating a broke man at all. Like the toxicity, the verbal abuse, and sometimes it's not. I know some, not every man would be like that, but not every man has actually been to the point where they are what would I say? Like super broke, right? Like being broke can do some stuff to your mental. Like if you got to sleep in your car, But I mean, I know there are people still that have integrity, but when hit the fan, when it hit the fan, how do people react? And that's the true character of somebody when you don't have any money. How are you going to treat people? How are you going to treat people who are trying to help you? What is it going to be like? But I've experienced, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, just trying to suck me dry of my money. Like these are two different. One don't want to accept your help. Another one want all your money. So I've been on both extremes, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Nothing came good from the relationship or whatever. All right, I see my guest in the background. Look, if you don't want to be on blast, you better take your camera off.
I did want to, just before I lose it, I wanted to just make a point about what you said about the men, about the two different men. And the problem is with the man who didn't want any help, he probably feels super bad about being in that predicament. And that's why the verbal abuse comes from. It's because you're unhappy with yourself. It's because you don't feel good. I mean, and even as women, we know what it's like to not be, in our regular flow of money, not being be able to take care of ourselves what we want, buy us the things that we want to buy us. So even for men, it's probably 2 times worse because they also have that stigma to provide, to lead, to this, to do that. And a lot of times too, there are women in this world who like to have the upper hand on men so that they can be the ones who are, in control. So that brings a whole nother different dynamic into it. And it's like some men may have been exposed to that before coming to you. So they have their guards up and they already feel like you feel a certain type of way, or you might be ready to, talk down on them or make them feel bad or verbally abuse them. So they're basically trying to beat you to it, right? So I think that's like in a different, dynamic. Definitely.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, and I know there's different scenarios for everybody, but I just think I know, and everybody needs help. It's like for me, is for future is like I would try to help you on a friend basis, but we're not dating. Period. I can't do it. But and then when you get to a place, because you're not the same person, and this is why I say this too. You are not the same person that you are when you're broke, that when you actually get some money in your pocket, because you can see it time and time, all the time. You see these entertainers or people who, once they get to the place where they make it, right, those relationships tend to deteriorate, because what it takes to actually survive and to make it at the bottom and to be there for somebody, it's a different mentality that it takes for you when you get to the top of where you're going, and you have different networks and you're making certain kind of money, and now you don't have to struggle. You have to adjust to that, and some people can't always adjust. They're still stuck in the, I bought you from the hood, or I was there with you when this and blah blah, and that doesn't always work for the next level that you're at. So I mean, but I just feel also I don't know what I was looking at, but more men will date broke women, as and it won't be so toxic, because we are probably more accepting of the help. And even when we're broke, we don't like try to, not all of us, most of us don't try to beat down the man. Like, we're trying to take care of the kids, if we have kids, we're still trying to be nurturing. Like, I went in, go in debt just to, like, I still wasn't even doing well myself, and I'm trying to take care of you, like charging stuff on my credit card, trying to pay your car note or pay this or whatever, and keeping hush hush about that, and if I know I've done it, I know there are other women out there who have sacrificed, to help their man out, or to help, who their significant other, out during making it rough, for them, for their own selves, and sacrificing in that way, but still not trying to. I mean, I don't think it's always intentional that people try to damage other people, but some, if you meet a narcissist, honey, that's a whole nother conversation. So,
Yeah, you meet a narcissist and that's over. But I personally have never experienced that. I know when you said earlier and you were saying that, you were entering a relationship and the person was laid off. And I was just thinking, wow, because for me, I wouldn't want to do that, because I know how damaging that could be to the relationship and how it could prevent the growth. Because you have to think, when people are, not at their height, or not even maybe their height, but they're not at a comfortable place, they're not mentally in the best place to be in a relationship. So there's all the things that's going to come with that, right? And I can say that from experience, because like if me myself and I'm not together and I'm not where I want to be and I'm not feeling the way that I should feel about myself, I can't pour a significant amount into you because I don't have it to give, right? So I personally have never entered a relationship with anybody like that, or ever like had somebody that I had to like lean on. Now, where friendships, I have definitely been, I'm the provider friend, the person to borrow from, and things like that. But I've never went into a relationship like that. And that's only because, it's just like, I would probably take the stance like, maybe we should hold off on this until you get yourself in a better place. Because if you don't, then it's so much emotional strife that they're going through at the moment.
it is.
And it's like you're always gonna be angry. You're always gonna be frustrated. Like, not having money is a frustrating thing. So I went into a relationship with somebody knowing that they are not where they want to be. because you can't grow from that place.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just hard. It's hard. That's why Tor, since she calls it the struggle relationship, and I can see why. It's like, you know what, that makes sense. So I was like, I'm not in it anymore. Struggle relationship. But if you just think about how it makes you feel, individually as a person, as a woman, you already know, like, it's 10 times, I feel like it's 10 times greater because there's so much societal shame shaped around, you know, asking for help, needing for help, being broke or whatever. People even shame people for having to be on government assistance, like, so we, it's just it's a catch 22. But I see MJ on in the house. Out. Look, I call this my culture conversations. I told her we need to start a podcast because we always having these culture conversations late at night. And so he said this is exactly what he told me. He called me. I was like, bro, I'm about to go live. He was like, yeah, I saw that. I saw that y'all was bashing some men, and I had to get in on that.
No, we don't men bash over here. That's not what we're doing.
No, we always have this back and forth banner. But y'all, I want to welcome to the stage MJ Bailey. Allow him to introduce himself and then give his point of view on everything. So MJ, if you'll introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from, and then go ahead.
Bailey. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I saw what you posted on there, and I was like, oh man, now I'm gonna have to take the bait and see what's going on over there. But I figured it wasn't gonna be as bad as what it sounded like because that word toxic is like, man, I don't even know. It gets used in so many different ways. Am I still here?
Yeah, you are solo.
I can't see y'all.
I know because I put you on solo to introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, you caught me on a Saturday night watching football in my wife's beater, if I could even use that term. But you know, man, we live in a society where you remember no scrubs. I don't want no scrubs. Yeah. So if you even, as a man, if you even come close to matching those criteria, it's in the back of everybody's mind. Like, man, what's going on with him? What's he driving? What's he wearing? And a lot of the women. I know we're speaking in generalities here. We're not breaking out no hard data, but you get judged by what you got or what they think you got. Right? That's why so many people out here with fake Gucci belts and fake gold and all that kind of stuff because you have to impress, and a lot of that comes from the pressure that men feel from females, right? Um, you've got to. I can't tell you when I was a single man, how many times you go on a date or you go out and the expectation is on you, right? Or what you gonna do, and some of them were even so bold as to say it, if I would have did it with so and so, he would have bought me this, and it used to just get under my skin because it was just like one of those red flags because I hated the expectation, but it is true, and I feel like amongst men, there's a you put pressure on each other, like, hey, what you doing, like what's going on with your family, like you know how you out here balling and stunting, and you don't know where your kids are, you don't know what they're wearing, you don't know what So it's useful, right? But I was thinking about it in another sense as well. You know, being a broke dude or playing the broke dude, right? I'm good at that. I ain't got it, and don't care if you think I don't got it, right? But a lot of the times it's a matter of attracting or being with somebody who is going to be on the same page with you, right? So you know is my spouse gonna be that person, or is my girlfriend gonna be that person who, you know, she got to have the hair and nails done, and if you can't provide on that, you can't pay the bill, you can't pay that cell phone bill, it might be a problem, or you might lose some respect, and it's unfortunate because if if that's what the relationship is built on, right? How you gonna help me save? How how many couples I meet that are married and their finances are totally different. They don't even know, he cover half the bills and I covered it, and it's like, okay, you know, obviously y'all are together but separate when it comes to the finances, right? So to me, that's kind of toxic, right?
Separate
Because
but equal works, right?
I mean, to me, that's a toxic situation right there. Because how in the world could you know, at a point where you're supposed to be coming together makes you the most powerful financially, or should, and you do your thing, I do my thing, and you can't talk to me about that, or you can't, and it's crazy, because it seems like an area that maybe we get, male and female, we get hung on this, these expectations and what should be done, and it's like, well, what makes the most sense, right? Does it make the most sense to you know um, catching flights and doing all this stuff, running up the credit card just to you know live your best life right here, right now? What we teaching our kids? So you know I disagree with the statement, right? I think toxicity comes in a lot of different forms. Um, you know, I could very well, when I heard the term narcissistic, there is somebody I could hear somebody saying, well, because of your attitude, maybe that's a sense of narcissism, because I very much see myself as in my family the leader of how things should go, and um, even so much that when it came time to talk to my wife about, all right, let's sit down and figure out how we can you know make things happen without relying on these credit cards, right? I think that's just being a leader, right? And if it just so happens that you have a woman who can lead in that area, you know you should be with a man who can follow in that area, you know
But how many men can, like, when you seriously? Because I mean, there's even the age old back in the day when you're, well, not back in the day, but even now, when a woman makes more than a man, like that's a whole issue for a lot of people, a lot of men, a lot of relationships and couples. Like, if you can honestly say that being broke would not change, you know, your mental capacity, how you react, like how would you take it if your wife had to handle everything and you couldn't find a job for, or even not even find a job, because being broke sometimes is not about just finding a job. Sometimes you might get disabled, right? And then you can't provide for the family. So that's a big mental battle, and people are not always prepared on how to handle it. And we don't go see counselors and we don't talk to people. It can lead to really toxic situations. And when I say toxic, I mean, like, verbally abusing somebody, emotionally abusing them, not talking, giving them the cold shoulder, speaking down on them, refusing help, getting violent, that it can lead to things like that, or even just abusing the money itself, and then getting into a role where now you are so dependent on that other person, and now you don't want to get up and go to work and make it happen because you've been out of work for so long, you've been down for so long. So it's like, it's up here is the battle, but how many people work hard to heal this battle so that they can go on to be financially stable, so they can have a healthy relationship, in that matter? Because I can tell, I mean, I can, if I go broke and have to live in my car and have to put my mama in a car and we living in a shelter, like I'm gonna feel some kind of way. Like I already know how. For personally, for me, like growing up poor, we have, you have conversations on who ate the last dish or whatever, because like that's how it is in a struggle environment. When you don't have a lot of money, you tend to argue about things that other people will be like, dude, really? Your last cracker, let's just go get some more crackers. Like, why are you arguing over that? And so, yeah.
It's definitely a mindset. I can't. For me, I grew up in a Jamaican household, and some people think Jamaican culture is very, very
Hardcore.
not hardcore, but centered around maybe chauvinistic, maybe. Um, and but I never ever between watching growing up in the house with my mother and my father, never ever saw her my mother disrespect, denigrate my father because he couldn't, he didn't buy a BMW. My dad sat us down and said, "Hey, listen, y'all ain't running Jordans. I ain't driving a BMW because that don't make sense, okay?" And I could be if I didn't have y'all, I could be riding a BMW, but that don't make no sense. And so I kind of grew up in a really, a frugal kind of mindset, and it never was, well, because you're the man, you should do this. It was just the idea that, hey, you always wanna have a grind or a hustle. And I think by accident, it just kind of turned out that way, that I found a way to not really just support my family, but just manage it. Because some people will be like, well, why is it your wife work and why don't you support? Because I believe that we should have multiple streams of income, right? Able bodied, everybody working, and I just it's all about mindset. Because I always thought, man, if I was Stedman and had the opportunity to get with Oprah, I would be so supportive. It's that. And at the same time, there's a way that you can have a relationship without it being, uh, you know, a challenge to your pride or your ego as a man. I have seen those, right? Those relationships where the man is not necessarily broke, but he may have a unstable work situation, and she's got the hardcore grind, or she's more educated than him, so she makes more money, but the respect is still there, the love is still there, and he doesn't feel intimidated because guess what? They still have a way of making decisions that is not going, it's not going to interfere, and that can be tested, especially when you got friends who it's all about, well, what you got, what you doing, and you know well, you make all the money, why you ain't making all the decisions? So if you're not raised in a culture and you brought up with a mindset that says, hey, listen, it you can have it can be a real struggle. And I can tell you right now, the way you avoid that is you have some real interview type conversations with the person that you dated, and find out where they hit at. Because I've had those encounters with women, and I'm just like, you know what, you'd be cool, but you know what, I think we clash majorly down the road on these kind of issues, and it's important. Because when I before we got married, I saw the habits, and I was like, listen, I'm not used to living like that. And when you got expenses relying on credit cards and doing all kinds of stuff, I'm not used to doing that. So hey, could you could you explore another way? Because I think I have a better way. Would you be interested? And it was that kind of conversation. Now I'm not saying I was perfect, because there were times I made those comments like, oh, here we go again, we paying the bar tab from 10 years ago. Because that was my bad, but that was That was the way I was kind of thinking about it. But I just, it's all about your mindset. Because in the same respect, I could tell myself, you know what, in 10 years, this will be in the past, and we won't even be paying off on this debt. So, let's get over that, and it's been pretty good. It's been a good partnership, you know. But if we could never, you know, she was making more money than me at the time, right? Had better credit than I had at the time. I had more money saved up though. So if it had ever been that thing like, well, you just a broke a and I can't, and you how you gonna tell me, look what you drive versus what I drive, look at where you live. I didn't have an apartment. She had the apartment, right? I was at home living with my parents when we met, and stacking funds, planning about what we were gonna do next. So it really is about the mindset, and what kind of, how are you raised, how are you raised to think about that? Because when you get to that age where you're looking for that person who you want to spend the rest of your life with, and you still have a very fundamental thing, a way of thinking, like, this is what Granny taught me, and I'm talking about from the female perspective. This is what Granny taught me, and this is what my mama said. And don't trust these, that, and you treat everybody, and it's like, well, man, I don't even want to have to fight against that. I don't even want to have to deal with that. So I guess toxicity is also in the eye of the beholder. You know, you could be you could look at another culture and be like, oh my gosh, they make you wear that, a burger? Yeah, I can't even see your shape and form. Oh, they toxic. But guess what? It works for them. It's been working for them for several thousands of years now, and it might be too much for me to handle, right? Because I'm not used to all of that. But man, it works. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it.
So I wanted to address two things that you said. I know. I think I did read your comments, and I think that we have this thing where we have, as the culture, been pushing male toxicness. The whole male toxic, whatever. And I think that that is something that I don't personally agree to. Right? I feel like that people are, you know, equally unhealthy. It just comes out a little bit different for each different gender. It's more prevalent in different ways for a man than versus a woman. And I do feel like, especially with Black men, that's something that's always pushed on them. That Black male toxicity. So I think sometimes when men read that, their mind automatically goes there, which is kind of why you had the reaction you had, right? But the conversation we're having is kind of much different, I think, from what we expected.
You're breaking up. I think when you talk slower, you don't break up as much.
Sorry. So what I was saying is that I don't agree with calling men toxic in a sense like that, as how he first perceived it. Am I still breaking up?
It's better when you just talk slower. When you go fast, it breaks up. I think you're still breaking up. It's like some delay that's happening.
Okay.
You just talk regular, not as fast. And I think it should be.
Sorry, it's hard for me not to talk fast because my regular talking is fast. So, yeah, sorry, y'all gotta bear with me. But another thing that I wanted to talk about is the difference he brought up between, him being frugal and a minimalist. And he's saying that, he doesn't have those behaviors where he is verbally abusive or mean or rude or anything like that, but he's at the same rate. He's also going to say, I don't have it, I don't have this, I don't have that. The whole play broke, but playing broke and being broke. It's two different mental spaces. So of course it's not the same. Of course you don't have the same behaviors because you're not really struggling. You pretending to struggle, or you want to, have that. You have a cushion. You're not down to zero. You might just, this is my limit of what I'm going to spend, but you're not at that limit. So that's a much different predicament to be in. Therefore, the behaviors are going to be different. They're not going to be the same. Am I still breaking up? Yes.
Just a little bit, but we can still hear you better because you're talking slower. When you talk
Lower.
slower, it works.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, that's what I wanted to address because I don't think it's the same feelings, the same, you're not in the same mental headspace when you are pretending to be broke or when you're frugal or when you're a minimalist. You just have a standard, right? But you're really not hurt. You really don't, you have it if you need it, right? So if you have it, you're not going to be acting like, mistreating people because you're not in a bad mental space. You just have a certain standard that you're living by. So it's different. I can't hear you because you're muted, I think.
Is MJ trying to talk?
I
Yeah.
think.
So what do y'all mean by broke? You talking about no job, no savings?
I'm not talking about broke mentally. I'm talking about broke financially. Like you can't afford just regular standard of living, which is to take care of house, home, uh, your food, all the basic things you just need in life. The basic because
But anytime that you're broke financially, you are, if you're not completely broken mentally, you're going to have some mental issues during that time. You have some emotional issues during that time. So I
right.
think for me, it's more that parallel. I just think about it in that way. And I feel like women may handle being in those mind spaces a little bit better than men do because we don't have that extra societal pressure.
hmm And that
So
pressure.
so
Look, I'm
so I
hold on.
put it in.
Let me say this because I'm reading. I was pulling up this article. There's this article like why broke men hold no value in relationships. This was in 2017, 2016. Jet came out with something else about broke men. Why you shouldn't date broke men. Yeah, why broke men hold no value in relationships. Dear broke men, we aren't obligated to date you.
So
There's
so
even
I
some
put it
quotes
in.
in here. Hold on. Let me get my quote. Like, if your broke ain't got a job, what business do you have sweating on top of somebody's daughter? This is funny. Men literally have one job. Don't be broke. They don't get pregnant. They don't have kids. They're bigger and stronger and average. And men with no money should be in a relationship. Shouldn't be in a relationship. So I'm talking financially, but that pressure is definitely there. I mean, I don't care what country you go to. Uh, it is everywhere across the America, the UK. Don't be broke as a man, and that brings on the mental part of it all because financially you got to be able to provide for your family. Now if we were in a culture where it your status as far as who you are, like your social status meant more than actually your financial status, then that's different, right? If you're in a subculture of criminality, sometimes your status and not how much money you have in your pocket can get you, more respect or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, but for us, it's financial. It's finances. It's what
So the time when I was living with my parents, just out of college, had a entry level job. Probably couldn't have gone out and got the apartment that I wanted to. So that's why I was living with my parents. Right? Somebody could have been like, "Oh, this broken," and I mean, I probably would have met that criteria. However, and maybe if I had tried to engage somebody, they could be like, "You live with your mama. You you can't afford, the car payment that, what kind of car payment people out here paying now. I saw somebody paying like $800 a month. You know, I definitely couldn't have afforded an $800 a month car payment. So would I have met the criteria for being broke? Probably. But to me, broke is kind of a mindset. And if you are with a person, and I'm not defending all guys or whatever, because I mean, especially not broke guys with broke mindsets. But there are some times when a man does not have the money, doesn't have they're not in a position to maneuver like that. And what they need is support, not that societal, okay, you're broke, you're a broke cat. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I've been there, but I didn't stay there. So, and
I think somebody can always call you broke. If you could have had 2 times as much as that, and there would still be women out there in the world saying, "Oh, you broke." So I don't think it's so much. I mean, you're gonna be broke to somebody. Everybody's broke to somebody. A billionaire is broke to a trillionaire. So I mean, that's not it. It's a little bit, the it's a little bit more about meeting a person, and their meeting a person's expectations, because what you had to somebody else would have been a lot, but to a different person it was nothing, right? So I mean, there's always that availability to call somebody broke, but what you brought up that was a good point is having a broke mindset. Like, personally, I could be with a person who, are, I guess, chasing their dreams or building their business, and that would not be a broke man to me, and no matter what level, how much he had. But it comes to be a problem when people have broke mindsets where, they are kind of like how Rashida talked about, you being down for so long that you lose all hope. You don't try to engage or try to do more for yourself because you are mentally broken, you're emotionally broken, so you don't do for yourself. And that's a whole different type of person. I think those are the people, that fit the description of her discussion. Those people who are just so tore down, that, you know, everybody's going to be broke, even to themselves. Like, you're going to have months where you have more money or less money than you usually have. That's an ever going thing. Money is a cycle, right? Finance is a cycle. So no one's ever going to not ever be broke, right? Even if their broke is much more than somebody else's rich. So I think it's definitely more about mindset and the expectations of the people that you are being with, the expectation of the person, that you're getting into a relationship with.
Yeah, and you just have to watch that because, but you have to go into it communicating. I mean, for me, I'm not going with any struggle relationships. Like, I just can't do it. Like, even for myself, I don't want to date if I'm at a certain point. Like, I'm not gonna date you because I already know. Like, I'm on a certain
let's see it.
grind.
What are we talking
I'm
about?
on a certain. I'm on a certain level that I'm going to do. So I'm not going to date anybody that I can't match what he or she has. But I have dated people who haven't matched what I have. Now, that was before. Now I'm at a whole different level. Yeah, financially, yeah. Like, I've dated people that I have. I mean, people think you have everything. Like, I just have regular stuff. I got a house, I got a car, I have my career or whatever, and I have investments and all of that or whatever. But I've dated people that
So they got to show you their
like
bank account.
they don't have enough money. Like, the most they make every month is like $500, $1,000, and it's hard to. And a lot of that is going to child support, right? Stuff like that. So, but
So
those
do
were
you
bad.
have to see?
I feel those were my bad choices.
Do you have to see the bank account? Is that they
Huh?
got to work out the bank account? They got to show you what they got.
We don't have to see a bank account to know if a man have
No.
money or not. That's
Yeah,
not even
you can
a
tell.
thing. You
When
can
you
tell
ask
when somebody got
me,
money and when they don't.
Really? Tell me what other telltale signs?
Well,
First of
one,
all, that
you complain
conversation.
about the
If they
money.
never bringing up money, they don't have no money. Period.
Hey, look, let me tell you. I mean, this is from well. First of all, my first ex. I mean, my original, like when I dated for all my 20s, basically one guy from we were like supposed to get married and all this stuff. So, but he told me, from the get, not from the jump. Actually, it was a little bit once we actually got to know each other that he was unemployed. He got laid off from GE, which was a good job, his good job or whatever. But he didn't have a broke mindset, but he was still kind of like real manly toxic as far as receiving help. And I don't know, it was just a totally different space because once he started to get it back on his feet, like the cockiness, like all of that, I guess who he truly was, started kicking in a little bit more. But then I've also dated, I knew because one, I was like, hey, let's go here or whatever. And then the first thing out of your mouth was like, you paying? Or your car broke down, or no, you need to pay your car note. But like, hey, I need to hold some money. I don't get paid to this. I need to. Can you pay this for me? Like not once, multiple times. Just little stuff like because the conversation is different. Like you're always paying for your own meal, always.
Well,
uh,
I mean, listen, I don't know, Parker. Like, I don't know what your status is or how you rate them. But one of the things I used to do is, I would kind of see how you respond in situations like money. Like, I wouldn't volunteer to pay and see how you felt about that.
yeah, no,
Uh,
I've
you
done
know,
that.
and some I've had some girls who be like, "What? Are you kidding?" Like,
But yeah, like I said,
and
those were bad. Like I've had the bad part. So now it's like,
so
no,
hold up. So if
it's
a man
different.
doesn't pay on the first date with y'all, like what's it gonna be?
You, well, okay. No, I can't
I
go
would
back to
really ask
that.
you, well,
My thing is, it just depends. And two, it also depends on it depends. It depends on where we go, how we got into this whole little thing. But I'm not going back to the same way. So I would do things differently. So the way I would do things differently is that the man he's gonna pay all that feminism, all that stuff. Yeah, yeah. That's for those people who want that. Okay. But I am because I know how I am in relationships. I'm a submissive type person when it comes to certain things, but I will never allow for my four walls to be crumbled or crushed. So you try to
Mhm.
take yourself home. Like that's just one thing that I'm not gonna play with.
you're not gonna do
So
what now?
my four walls, like the house, home, like all of that needs to be taken care of. We're not about to be without water. We ain't about to be without a place to live. We need saving. Like because that, I mean, even out of all the bad relationships, I never let my stuff get behind. Like I'm paying my car note, I'm paying this, I'm paying that. I'm gonna make sure I'm good. I still might go in debt for you, but I'm not gonna sacrifice my head sleeping down on a pillow with some lights and certain things because I grew up poor. I just not gonna I'm not gonna have that. Like, but I've watched men without a lot of money be abusive,
Mhm.
growing up as a kid. So that's part of the reason. But my mom was never abusive or toxic, even though we grew up broke. Like we went to some very barren places that I can remember as a child, her trying to just raise us because didn't live around family or whatever. So um but she's the most selfless, always helping and giving type person, and she's been that way for a long time. So I mean, and I don't say this just about one person. There's just so many people that I've met over the years and talked to. I used to work as a mental health intake coordinator and listen to people and their stories to find counselors and stuff like that. Like, it's just money puts people in a whole different mindset. And if you went broke today, you could not provide for it. Your mindset is going to be totally different. It's going to be different, and it's hard to hold on to integrity when you don't have any money, when you can't feed your child, when you can't feed yourself, when you can't protect your wife, you know, like who would, there's like, I forget what movie it is. Like, who wants to see their wife out there doing certain stuff just to put food on the table? Now, there's some men who will allow that, but there's others that would be disgusted at themselves if they ever had to allow that happen. You know what I'm saying? So we say, but women, we tolerate it much more because we are in a, we still don't get paid the same as men, so we just tolerate not just being at a lesser, not that we're not more, not that we're not valuable, right? But the way society pays us, the way they see us, we still handle, even if we are in a broke environment, we're still raising the kids, we're still, going hard in the paint for the men, like we'll still go get up and work two jobs and, without, being toxic to them. Now, are there some hardcore environments where women are a little bit more aggressive and they are toxic? Yeah, and they talk down to the men and things like that. I feel like it's becoming more, you know, culturally acceptable to be a little bit more aggressive on like what you want. Like, I'm not gonna date a man unless he has this, and this, and that's it. Like, people are actually being that bold about what it is that they want and what their view is. If a man, because I'm in a group called, like, it's like highly valued um women or goddess or something like that, and they be like, look, if he can't pay the bill, he can't pay for the meals. If cut him. Like, that's, I'm they not going for that at all. Not at all. Like, you pay for the dinner, you're courting me, not the other way around. We're
Yeah.
not doing that new age stuff where I'm getting down on my knee and asking you for a ring. It's not happening at all.
So you know, I get the whole thing, throw the bone out there and see what comes back, right? So that MJ was talking about, not volunteering to pay and see what happens. I don't necessarily think, like, if somebody doesn't volunteer to pay, that's fine with me. Even if somebody say, oh, they want to go Dutch, I mean, that's fine. But you also know, um, when a woman does that, she may, change not her perception of you or feeling like you're broken, but she learns, like, what to expect with you. Are you the type of man that want me to work as hard as you work and we, make this work? Or are you the type of man that wants to take care of me? And me personally, I wasn't put on earth to work. So if we go Dutch, that's fine. But that lets me know in my mind that you think I'm going to work as hard as you do. It's kind of like you said in your own marriage. You said, all able bodies. And in my mind, for me, your body more able than mine. So I don't have the level of expectation to do what you do. That's not and over here, that's not gonna happen. So I think it's nothing wrong with it. Like, oh, you want to split? Like, fine, I got my own money, let's split. But I now know where you are.
And you have to, for me, like, I've been working hard all my life. When I get with somebody who's supposed to, like, I know who I am. I know how I go hard for people, and I know how I put all of me into another person. And it's like, if you can't do just the small things, a dinner, or a dinner date, or whatever it is, that really does, it shows something. And it's like, being able, taking care of somebody, like, that's like, it's not just financial, like, that's it's a whole mental thing. Like I can rest inside of you. I can, because they say when you become married, you become one, right? I can rest my whole weight on you. I can just, I just don't have any fear. There's nothing that would stop me if I know that you're providing for me, not just financially, but everything. Because just in the payment means that, hey, I want to take care of you, not just financially, but it's it's like another level of, how I want to take care of you, and that's not just with the dinner, it's, with other things too. But you watch people and you observe and you see, how they what they do in different situations, and that's why it's good to go in different situations.
With people.
Because yeah, it really matters. And so I mean, I've learned a lot along the way, a lot of tragedies, but now I feel a little bit, I can be a little bit more vocal about what it is that I want, but also be a little bit more observative too, and listen to intuition. A lot of times we don't listen to our intuition, and we just
Hmm.
keep going, and we try to make force things to work when they shouldn't be working at all. And you got to know what it is. You have to know what it is that you want. I can't get with anybody who's not financially trying to be on a financially stable path. And I'm not gonna wait for you to get there, because now I'm at the age of 40. Like, that's where I am. And so I don't have time to be building somebody up from the gutter. Like, you got $0. I just don't have time for that. As now I have time to help you as a professional and guide you on, how you can get to a certain level, but I just don't
But
have
she,
the energy. I
but
don't
she,
have the energy for that.
maybe it's, that's a function of, your upbringing. You say you grew up poor, and so when you enter a relationship, the finances is like a big thing. But I'm gonna tell you like this, like
No,
I
it's
never.
never been a big thing for me before. I'm at a different point in my life now. So,
Okay,
because
maybe.
I haven't been real. I've never been really. Just in the past few years, financial freedom has been my buzzword. But before that, no. Like, I just dated whoever I dated or whatever. But now I'm a little bit more sound in what I want, and so I feel like people who know what they want, they get better results as opposed to
I just
allowing anybody.
never. Man, I don't know. Going in, it was never about, well, where she at, like, she got a job, what's she doing, you know, and
That's
maybe
because it's different for men and women.
you might say,
Telling
you might
you.
say that, you
You're
might
not
say
looking
that.
for a woman to take care of you like that. That's why you
Right. It has a lot to do with where you
have
are. Because if you were a man looking for a woman to take care of you, that would be a
Uh,
question. You would
no,
worry about
no,
it.
no, I wouldn't worry about it, but I would say, if she was, have the attitude of, hey, I'm not, I want you then that would raise a red flag in my mind, because there's no such thing as 50-50. Okay. In my opinion, there's no such thing as
You're
50.
right, because women always gonna give more in a relationship. You're right, because women always gonna give more. Even if you
I
paying all
don't
the
think
bills, we
anybody is
still giving
equal.
more.
No, and
Uh,
and the whole thing with men and women, I don't. There is no equal. There's only fairness. That's fairness, because we can never be equal. There's
but there
different
be
things.
no,
If
there
I
be
can
no.
have the baby and you can't, there is no equality at all.
She just said that she's not going to work as hard as I am. There will be no fairness.
Okay,
That's on
okay.
that's on
Wait, let's
a labor level. She's not
a
talking
labor
about
level.
the emotional, the spiritual. Because look, here's the thing: you can even put finances. I mean, you already know this. You can put an insurance policy on your wife that does not work at home. And what is her value? If she was not there, how much would it cost you in extra gas money, and extra daycare, and extra, who needs to come and clean up the house and do this and do that? They actually have there's still value in that. So just because you don't do the labor outside of the house, there's still labor to be done. Because what if you were in business, right? Your own business, you host parties, your wife is part of that,
No, no, hear me out.
you do
You're
different things,
assuming.
you take
You're
care of the
assuming a
kids.
lot. You're assuming a lot. But that's what I'm saying. You will never ever get to a point where, oh, this is fair. Like, oh yeah, you make 250,000, but man, I clean, I take care of the kids. So there's no, if you enter in with this idea of, I'm gonna compare and this like that, you already messed up, because it will never be fair. It
It's
will
not
never
about
be a way that you
comparing.
could quantify what she brings. You're right. All those things are invaluable. So I would never ever go there and think, wow, you know what? I do all of this, and what does she do? Oh, all she does is provide emotional support. It doesn't compare to mine. That to me, that's a bad way to
Ask
jump
a
in.
millionaire. Ask a millionaire if they need somebody who is there. Man, okay.
I'm not saying all of that has value, but I
There
do
is no
believe
but. If it has value, it has value. There is no but to it.
no.
You can't
It has
discredit value.
but there will never be a 50-50 or like Parker said, oh well, we automatically bring, because sometimes she don't bring all that. Okay, sometimes it's not the case. Okay, is it
And
always not the case? No,
you're a
but
man. You're not looking for the same things that a woman is looking for. That's all I'm trying to say. We are looking for something different. And no, I'm not trying to compare. All I'm saying is that I'm not going to be in any struggle relationship, period. Okay. And at this point in my life, I'm 40 years old. So I'm not looking for somebody who's just trying to start off and has no sense of money mindset. They have no idea about saving, investing. They might not have, a lot in retirement or whatever, but if you have the mindset to go the distance, that matters more. But I cannot be pulling you along. I've already pulled so many people. I've already wasted time and energy into people that I
you
mean,
can't just do one more.
huh? No, I can't
It's
do
being
it.
facetious at
I'm
this
sorry,
point.
because you know what? The last one could have taken my life, and I have a purpose on this earth, and I wasted so much of my time on the lessons, and when I should have left, I've had decades of lessons, and so I can't do it anymore. I have a purpose, and that purpose I have to do God's will, and that's what I have to do. But it's not going to be letting anybody run on me, and it's not bringing somebody into my personal space who I have to teach on basic stuff, like basic, like
Parker, can I ask you a
basic.
question? I think I know. I think I know Rashida's, but what's your highest level of education, Parker?
I
If
have
you
2
got
bachelor degrees.
you got two bachelor's degrees. Rashida, you have a master's degree, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. Because the data says that the more education you have, less likely you don't need us.
Which is not true.
Well, that's
Not
exactly that's
true.
for different kind of women, because Rashida already told you that that we're not feminists over here. We don't do that. And I would think we need to back up the conversation a little bit, because I do think I need to defend myself. So when I said about the whole Dutch situation about half, dating is different than a relationship. If we're dating, we're going out on dates and you want to go Dutch, that's the thing. But if we're in a relationship, I don't have a problem with buying you a meal. If we're in a relationship, I don't have a problem dating somebody and buying a meal. But if we're on our first date and you talking about let's go Dutch, okay, I know, like, where that's a who you are type of thing. You know that the very first time we go on a date and you want to go Dutch, that is maybe it's not a red flag, but it could be a white flag, a yellow flag, a green flag, whatever flag you want to call it. But that it's something to that. But that doesn't mean that in a relationship, I won't buy you food. I won't treat you to stuff. I won't do stuff for you. So just because I said that, and to go back to your point about labor, I already said I'm not going to work as hard as you. I'm not. I'm absolutely not, because I'm not supposed to do that, because I'm a woman and I'm a feminine woman, and my place is not to work or try to outwork no man. Period. That's not something I'm going to do. Like, you are a man for a reason, and you need to carry your own role. I'm not trying to carry your role. I'm not trying to match what you do, because we are made to do different things. We're not made to do the same thing. So where you
That's a
say
matter
it's
of
not
what
50
the
50,
expectations are.
you're right. Women are always going to do more than men, because we have the burden of nurturing. It's hard to nurture people and take care of ourselves. We got to nurture kids. We got to nurture men. We have to do we have to take on the emotional responsibility of a whole household, of a whole family. Men don't do that. Y'all barely tapped into your own damn emotions. So how are y'all gonna be emotionally responsible for everybody in the house?
That's not fair.
Okay,
So
Jamal,
you talking
man.
about it can't be it'll never be fair. You're right, because we always gonna be on the short end of the damn stick every time.
Wow.
And see, this is what I say, like, because in education we talk about it's never equal. It's just we treat everybody fairly, right? Fairly doesn't mean we do the same things. It means we may have different roles. We get what we need. Fair means you get what you need in order to be successful and satisfied in that relationship. Equal means you got to do everything the same. Like the men and women in the army. Like, I can't treat you any differently. You're gonna do the same stuff. If I have him do that, you're gonna do that. If you got to get this keyhole test or whatever it is, everybody getting the same test. Like we are based on whatever. But that's why I say we can be fair, but we will never be equal. Like you just can't. Y'all can't give birth.
I said
You don't have.
She said she get the short end of the stick. Whoa.
I mean, because when I'm not saying I feel like that. I mean, I feel like there are things that men do, and provide that we don't, and that we look to our men for, to feel safe, to feel secure. You don't expect me to there's to be an intruder come in the house. You don't expect me to make sure that person don't get past, me to you. That's what you do. So when I say, I'm just saying the short end of the stick, if you want to start talking about, fairness or who do what, I think it takes a lot more mental energy to be a woman and to sustain a relationship than it does for men. Maybe not mental, but emotional energy. It's a different level of energy that we exert towards a relationship that men do not do.
Parker, I'm just trying to get a little frame of reference. Did you growing
Yeah,
up?
what she said.
Were you in
Hashtag.
a two? Did you grow up
I
in a
did
household
not.
with mom and dad?
I did not.
It was just mom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So would you say, like, growing up, what would you say your view on men was? Kind of positive, negative?
I would say initially growing up, my view of men were that the men in my life and the men that I experienced were less responsible.
Okay. That.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
growing up, like once I got in college and I started being exposed to men, like growing up, I really didn't have exposure to married people. The one couple of married people that I knew was not to me in my mind a real marriage or what I would think marriage should be. So when I grew up and I started going to college and started being exposed to men who were married, I realized that those men were a lot different from the men that I was exposed to in my life.
okay.
But I don't have a negative connotation for men in general. Like I love men. Like the older I got and the more different types of men I was able to see, I started being like, wow, this is what men are really like. So it wasn't for me like, oh, all the men in my life are like, are deadbeats like my father or abusive like my brothers. It came to be like, wow, like these men are the normal people, and the people I was brought up around are the people that are not normal. So I don't have I don't carry a sense of, bashing men or anything like that, but I do have an expectation, and I have expectation to not live as the women have in my life that I grew up around, or not attach myself to those type of men.
Where does that come from? Where did that prototype come from? Like
that
what
standard?
Man, yeah. Where did that come from? What was there a man that you saw? A mentor?
Experience in being able to see, like I said, when I got to college and I seen men who were married and cared about their wives and loved their wives and talked about their wives, it changed my perspective of what I should expect in a man. It was no longer like, oh, I should expect a man to cheat. I should expect a man to, not have money, need me to do X, Y, and Z. It came to show me that, a lot of people, when growing up in poor situations or bad or violent situations, anything like that, we seem to think, oh, the whole world is like that. But then we grow up and we see, no, the way we were living is abnormal. It's not right. And we don't have to succumb to the lifestyle that we were brought up in. And I have a refusal to succumb to that. And that's where the standard comes from.
Exactly. Look, you preaching, because that's exactly, it comes from experience. And you see, like me being an educator, and a lot of my friends are married, right? And I see, and I always said, I always have great examples of good marriages. I do have great examples, and I'm just like a loner. So I float around to, different houses and everything. People let me, take care of their kids, here and there or whatever. But I've had some great examples of, good friends with really great marriages. And it's like, and I had to talk to my one friend. I was like, man, I got a bad picker. I got a bad, a bad chooser or whatever. She was when I see their relationship, and I see, how they talk to each other, and, just a different level of expectation, and even how they got there. There's just some things just even within our own community that, it's not right. And just like you said, Parker, when you're a kid, you think like, this is what happens, all over the world. But, I've never had, I've never been bitter about men or whatever. I've had bad relationships, but, that doesn't, I don't have to bash men. They're great black men out there. They're great men, period, no matter what color their skin is or ethnicity. And, but, there's nothing wrong with a woman having certain expectations. If another woman, there are some career oriented and goal focused women who want to have the same, they want, there's some men who want goal oriented women. That's why you have to know exactly it is what you want. You can't just be accepting and receiving of just anything. That's not, you're not going to get what you need in those particular relationships. And that's how I know, for me, trial and error, just accepting anything that comes your way, and not really knowing what you want or speaking up on it, and even just using your intuition about certain things. You're not gonna be satisfied in a relationship. You're gonna be susceptible to you know bad things. Like, it's rare that people meet some really, that I don't I would say, I don't want to say that, but I just feel like you just don't get things that just, oh, they don't always just land in your lap. So you still need to have an idea of, what's acceptable, what's unacceptable. Like, for me, what's unacceptable is, like, I mean, it makes me seem surface, but I don't want, smoking and drug use and, certain type of stuff, because I'm an educator. I work with kids. That's like, I like to be silly, laugh, and, like, different. So not that they don't like to laugh, but I'm around kids all the time. You don't like kids, like, you don't like to go to PTO, or, to the thing we got going on after school, or even my friends' kids and things like that. I know they'll grow up, but, you just have to know what you want. And so you got to, and it's okay to say, hey, I don't want to deal with somebody's broke. Because, I mean, I'm not going to hold you to any standard that I wouldn't hold myself to.
Right.
I'm not going to, if I'm broke, I don't want to be in a relationship, because I know, like, I feel indifferent just to even go out, knowing that I couldn't afford to, pay for the meal that I'm asking. Now, that's me. Not everybody is like that. Some people will have no dime to the name, a $5 network, and still be trying to order the $200 lobster, on the menu, and they don't care, because they will spend your last dime before they ever reach in their pocket. That's not me. So I'm asking you to have your stuff together, which is just the basic part of life. You can figure out retirement, and the rest of that, but if you're not interested in taking care of your four walls, and you're not interested in taking care of the basic necessities of life, then no. It's a no. And that's a hard no and a hard pass. Swipe left. Bye-bye.
I want to address what MJ said about higher education, that we don't need, y'all. I think that is something that, has maybe has a certain amount of prevalence, but it's nowhere near as large as people try to make seem. And I think it goes back to the whole ego issue. Is men feel like we don't need them if we make money, but like I was saying before, men provide other things for us outside of money. So there may be women who have money and feel like, well, I don't need a man because I can buy me this and that. Like I tell everybody, I'm going to be a billionaire and I still need a man. So I don't subscribe to any of that thinking. I don't subscribe to any thinking because of how much education. Just like I would never not date somebody because they don't have a certain level of education. Like as long as you got a certain level of common sense to know that you need money, that's all we need. We don't need you to have a PhD or any type of degree. We just need you to know that you need some money and you want to have ways to get us some money, and that's all we need to know.
The theory behind it though is that the more, I mean, historically, I don't know what you believe. The research says this, and I mean, if you think about it, marriage, these relationships historically have been about what you can provide versus what she can provide you. That's how, I mean, this goes back to, this spans several different cultures. We're not just talking about Western culture. We're talking about all of them. Can you provide a dowry for my family? Can she bear children for you? Or can you be a financial provider? Can you be a provider of security? And in this culture, in this Western society, if you have the ability, if a woman has the ability to provide for herself, security wise, I mean, she may, I'm not saying she doesn't need or want, male interaction or whatever because she got some money, but there is less need for all of that. And in a society
there's more of a standard. It's
society
not less
teaching,
need. The standards are different.
society is
It's
teaching
no more
women that, hey,
desperation.
a marriage relationship, oh no, that's a controlling, misogynistic,
Yeah, if
that's
you from a
what
from you from a different perspective, if you're from a different perspective, but that's not all. I mean, you have your your different sectors, who may think like that. But there's actually statistics that show that high powered women, a lot of times they end up in toxic relationships. People who make really great money, they're very dominant and controlling at what they do. They, like the boss babes or whatever, but they usually end up in bad toxic relationships. There's a lot of women who are in jail behind relationships who used to make great money. They're, I mean, really smart women, right? But making bad choices when it comes to relationships because they may date, men who aren't as financially secure or even trying to be financially secure on their own, but look for women who are high powered because they know they can provide the other things that women do want and need, like companionship, obviously we have physical needs, you know, being there, support, being there just to talk to, different things like that. There are men who tap into the other side, other than the finances, that really do fuel women who are like powerhouses, and they just want to come home and not have to play the dominant role in their relationship. And that's where some men show up in that particular way. So I mean, there are statistics that show that um, a lot of high powered women, date, you know, lower than them, or I guess, and I don't know what,
It's not lower than them. It's just
not
that they
lower,
don't have the same amount of income. I mean, the same
right?
financial
Exactly.
income. But that kind of goes back to what I was saying to MJ. I mean, it's you could say it's not fair, but I just say it's different. Different things being provided. Like, are you good at cuddling? Are you good at making me feel safe and secure? Because I mean, If you good at cuddling, we fine. Like, so sometimes that's all I want. So it's that though, it's things like that that might matter. Like, you could be over there in your feelings thinking I need you to buy me, I don't know, a
A
50
Louis bag,
bedroom house. I don't even want a 50 bedroom house. I just want to cuddle. That's what I want, right?
a
So,
Louis bag, and some cuddling.
oh no, I don't want no Louis bag. I mean, you can buy me my own brand of bags. You can get me my own purse company started. That's what I would want before I would want a Louis bag. But I'm a different type of person, so I can't speak for every woman. But I'm just saying it's not that women feel like men are less than. It's just that we have different standards. Of course, we're not going to be desperate because we don't need money. Of course, we're not going to settle for anything. We're not going to settle for being mistreated because we don't have to be reliant on you all. And that's just common sense. When you don't have to be relying on a woman, y'all act different too. Just like Rashida said, her friend, he got all cocky and stuff when he got his self back together because you could do for yourself. When you could do for yourself, of course, you carry yourself differently. You're not going to be reliant. You're not going to accept just anything. You're just not going to take whatever willy nilly when you know it's people out there that could at least treat you right. They might can't match your money, but they can match the way you treat them. And that's what's important. So it's not always about us feeling like, oh, we can't be with no man because he don't make enough money. You're going to have a hard time trying to outbeat me and what I want to make in the world. So I wouldn't even try to get a competition with me with that. So that's not some expectation I have for you to provide.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with all of that. Yeah, I mean, because you gotta think as a man, you want something from women that, and we want something different from men. There, and then that's also is based on different cultures, based on different religious ideologies. There's gonna be differences, split among that. You have to know what you want at the end of the day, what you're gonna tolerate and what you're not gonna tolerate. And but money plays a huge role. Like you said, you pointed out the cultures. It does play a huge role um in relationships and even before you start. But I, for me, you gotta at least have the minimum, the basic of wanting, because it's a mindset when you want to take care of your own personal um economy. When you want to take care of your own personal economy, it's because here's the thing: when you look at money is not just about money. It's about the habits that go with the money. It's a mindset
The
that goes.
habits are more important.
Exactly. And so how you handle your finances, how you handle yourself, and there was something you were saying, and I was thinking this, MJ, when you said it, was like, um, money is going to whether the lack of money or however much money that you have is going to perpetuate whatever it is that's already inside of you. So if you already cocky and you ain't got no money, you you gonna act the ass, right? If you got a lot of money and you already cocky, now you just gonna be flamboyant with it, right? So if money is not going to exploit, it's going to just exploit what's already there. And so this is why you have to watch people with their money. That police, everybody always says follow the money. I don't care what situation that you're in, you can follow the money, and that tells you the motives. That gives you the character. That tells you the personality. Like, it really does. People can act. They act. You just follow the money and let somebody borrow some money. You'll find something out about them, right? Whether they give it back, whether they don't, how they treat you or whatever it is. Um, Money just it speaks a
So the
lot.
money, so the money does change you, or it doesn't? What do you say?
No, money doesn't change you. It just perpetuates what you already have inside you. It makes it more perspective. It makes it people be able to see it. Whether you don't, if you have a lot of money, now if you're already foolish, then now you're gonna be foolish in a bigger way. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
have money, if you're broke, if you're foolish and you're broke and you ain't got no money, that just it shows. Like, it shows. So, um, and the I don't even want to talk politics, but money has not changed him. If you actually read his biography, read the biographies that are written on him and how he grew up,
Who
um,
we talking about?
he's pretty much the same person that he was at younger. They had to send him to military school because how he acted out in different
Who?
things like that. The ex-president, the last president, um,
The
the last
last
president, and his family has always had money, but he's always been the way he was is the way he's always been. I've watched him on interviews in across the different years, the cockiness and the way he's talked, like he's been like that for forever. And if he didn't have money, he would still be like that because that's who he is. Money not going to change you. Everybody says change. No, it doesn't change you. It perpetuates what you already have inside you.
It shows you who you are.
Exactly.
Ma'am J, I have a question for you. Can we just go back and explore about your wife and being an able body? Because I just need to know, like, what is it you had this woman doing? Like, what's your standard? Because I feel like you have a standard of how much she needs to do, and I just want to explore that.
So my wife is a teacher, right? And if if she, I mean, she has expressed that she would like to just stay at home and be the housewife. Um, but I think if you have the ability to bring in income, maybe we should explore that because not only did she do that, she had a couple of businesses, right? And I wholeheartedly supported those, and financially, even with some sweat equity. But it's it doesn't make sense to me, if she has the ability to generate income for our family, for our enterprise, what we got going on here, to just to do nothing.
Well, if she was a stay-at-home mom, she would not be doing nothing. And again, we have to
I
go
get
back to
that. I
this
get
how much emotional draining you all men are, right? So I feel like
Oh
you
yeah.
keep skipping over that. But what I
Mhm.
want to say is that if by her not wanting to, by her
Mhm.
not wanting to tell me, by her being upfront and saying, "Hey, I don't want to go to work," and that just means like working outside of the home. Why wasn't your match to that? And I'm not criticizing, I'm just curious because I'm just thinking about what I would want if I told my husband that I don't want to go to work. Like, why wasn't your thought process, well, how can we get you to use your teaching skills but do it at home? Well, that you're working and then you don't have to, physically get up and go to work. Or what is it that we could explore that you can do around the house where, to your point, you don't feel like she's doing nothing all day, but
No,
she's
no, no.
still
That's
not
not.
going to
No,
work.
I didn't say that. I don't. It's not about like doing nothing all day because I understand a stay-at-home mom is. I mean, that's a job, right?
It is.
I'm talking about bringing in income, and we did talk about that, right? But there is, one of the things I had to learn is that people, you can't change somebody. They are who they are, right? And
Yeah.
as much as I want you to be, driven in entrepreneurial endeavors, or, my wife had she had a baking business, right?
Mhm.
And as much as I wanted to, like, all right, we paid for the website, we did all those kind of things, but guess what? There was a point where she didn't want to go there, and I'm not gonna be like, well, you see, come on now, you could be doing this and do it. I'm not gonna do that, but I think you know when you have multiple incomes, right, you can do a whole lot more, right? And
You
so,
can, but it might change the quality of your wife's life. So my question is, like,
oh,
she tried a
but I
baking
changed the
business.
quality.
She tried a baking business. She couldn't stick with that. Why wasn't it okay? Let's find something else. Let's explore. Let's keep exploring until we find something that you can stick with and also not have to go to work. And see, that's where I feel like men and women are different, because if a man was in a predicament where he didn't want to do something, or he didn't want to go to a particular job, a woman would be supportive and say, "Okay, babe, let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try this." And this is why I say y'all are draining, because she's already expressed to you what she doesn't want to do, and you're saying, "Oh, well, we tried this one thing and this one thing didn't work." It's a million other things that you could get her into where she could be at home and she could be making an income. But you're just saying like, "Oh, she don't have an entrepreneur spirit." It could be that she just haven't found her thing yet. She has to find her thing.
But that's not my job to find her thing or inspire her to do that. That's not mine. Because if she doesn't want to do that, she don't have to do that.
Yeah,
And
it's not
it
your
would be
job.
it would be wrong for me to kind of, be like, well, why you ain't doing this? Why, come on, why you not doing that? Why, you say you want to be at home. Why,
And see, that's the
why
difference that she's talking about with, because
Between a man and a woman.
we take on, when you're with us, we take on you, right? We take on your hopes, your dreams, your failures. If you're not in a certain situation, like, okay, when we supporting your dream, but like, okay, babe, you want to do this, you want to do this, hey, but you know, try to. And I think I get dinged for this all the time because I'm always trying to give more, like, hey, why don't you think about doing this,
I
or why don't
told you we always give more.
I'm always
We
trying to
always give
drop
more.
seeds,
no,
and
no, no. Then you would be perceived as, dang, she never satisfied. She always on the she like she won't accept me for me. She always trying to
If that's
change
the thought
me.
process, that person is ignorant, and I damn sure don't need to be married to them.
She trying to change me. She
No,
no,
it's not
but
about
you
changing
have to
you. I'm
take
trying
on
to help
your
you get to a
dream,
point when you're
she
happy.
want me to
Because
do
right?
women can't
all.
be happy when their man not happy. If
Exactly,
see,
we
that's the
can't.
difference. Like you fine with your woman going to work knowing she don't want to work. If my husband told me he didn't want to work, I'm gonna help him do 25 different things so he figure out what he want to do where he can stay at home. Period. Because if you're not happy, I'm not happy. But men don't have that same thing. Men have a thing where like, "Oh, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be secure. I'm gonna be fine no matter what." She can be miserable. She can be sad all she wants to. Like this is what she need to do. But women are not like that.
Have you been in that position
But
before?
Have I been in what position?
Position where you and your husband had an issue like that,
Where I didn't want to go to work and I was made to go to work? Is that what you're saying?
or vice versa.
No. I haven't
Okay.
been in a relationship in a position like
I'm
that.
gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. The
and
theory
there's
about it is cool, but the practice of it is a whole lot different.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
and there's different things that go into place too, because when you have kids and you gotta, put food on the table, or you're trying to do certain things. I think the biggest thing with that is, what are your goals? Where are you guys trying to go? Then you can get to a point where, hey, I know you don't want to go to work, but these are our goals as a family. This is where, we're trying to get to. And once we get to this point, then we have an option where you can actually stay home and do this or whatever. Like, you have to know what it is that you're trying to head towards, and you want to put her, if that's her goal, then put that inside of the goals, is to be able to stay at home with the kids. But at the same time, what is the quality of the relationship too, when you think about, we only get one life.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids only going to grow up one time. And I know MJ does a lot with his kids or whatever, but for some relationships, the wife being at work could be sacrificing, taking a lot away, from the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It could be taken, because I mean, we're all different, and some people don't know how to turn off the work mode.
Mm-hmm.
When they come home, they might be so emotionally drained or whatever. Then you have those jobs where they're already, um, working out of the, they might have to go to
Late
a
hours.
city or whatever, to work, and different things like that. So you just want to look at, because staying at home might even save some people money, like, because they
Yes,
much in childcare, right? Or they spend so
exactly.
much, and then the security and the safety and things like that. I was grew up as a
Mm-hmm.
latchkey kid because my mom had to work. She had to work. So, I came home, nobody's there, we have to let ourselves in. We stay home lots of nights scared. So that's why I'm like, I still, a lot of stuff with stems from childhood. So I'm like, I grow up, I'm still a little kind of scary type person. So I, make sure doors are locked. I have certain protection procedures and stuff like that. But you bring those on, and you have to still provide for your kids. You got to provide for you. There's just so many things um, that you have to do. But I think if you start with the goal and with the end in mind, where you want to be, that will drive you. And then if you don't have to work, I mean, because like sometimes you just got to do stuff that you don't like. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just life. Sometimes you do have to just step up to the plate and do stuff you don't like because you guys are a team and you're working for a greater goal. Hey, we're working towards, hey, we both want to retire by 50 and then we're going to live the rest of our life off dividend income. And
Mm-hmm.
or we're trying to we're trying to max out an IRA for both of our kids every single year where they're working in our business,
Mm-hmm.
and that extra income could go towards that. So by the time that they're 30, they could be millionaires or whatever it is. So it depends on what your goals are. Um, you know, to see, I mean, because with parenthood, it comes sacrifice, right? It comes some sacrifice, and you have to make some
Okay,
sacrifice.
you said that, so I want to say this. My goal in my relationship, in my house, my primary goal is not happiness. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
and you know what? With you saying
But,
that, because that's, and if you're biblical, like
but
I'm
what would
religious,
really make me
that
happy.
goes with what biblically that goes with. It's not about marriage, ain't about happiness.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, what would make me happy? You know, she probably not gonna go for what would make me happy, but
Right.
it's not the goal, right? Um,
I get that. I get that. And I feel like what Rashida was saying about having a goal, like, oh, she's, we're gonna we have this plan and then she'll be able to not work. But what he threw me off was with the able bodies. As y'all can see, I can't let that go. Because able bodies mean to me, he want this woman working till she drop dead. And I cannot with that thought.
maybe that's
But
Back in Hitler Germany.
having a goal is different, right? Like at the time we have to put in these things so that at this point we can do XYZ. At this point you cannot work, right? I can go for that. I can, but it was just the able bodies for me.
We're
I
not trying
just
to go back to
mm,
the concentration camps of 1930.
right, like it was the able bodies for me.
He can't no, but yeah, so I can definitely see both sides, but you got to sacrifice, and you got to know where you're going, and that's the big thing, and that's like with all of this, like that's the thing I've been saying since the beginning. You have to know what it is that you want. You know, I at 40 years old, it's hard. You can't change people, so think about that. You can't change people. So somebody who is not interested in protecting their own four walls, they're not interested in keeping up their livelihood just to live, like food, water, shelter, um, lights, all of that, what we live with in America, right? Um, not true. That's what we have. If you're not interested in protecting that or even having that, then what I look like getting in a relationship with you? I teach for a profession. I'm not in a relationship to be teaching nobody. Now you teach through you learn as you grow and you experience stuff as together, right? But I'm not here to teach you like I'm going to educate these little babies that I'm working with. That's not my job. Like you guys just got through saying, you said it's not your job. And I've had this conversation with other people. It is not our job to make sure somebody is feeling a certain way in relationship. You
That's
have to
true.
make sure that you're getting what you need. If you don't get what you need and you don't speak up about it, whose fault is it? Because I have been and when I look back on my relationships, I was like, dang, I could have just set the boundary. I could have just spoke
Mm-hmm.
up for what I wanted, and I would have got what I wanted. Because now that I speak up, I'm like, dude, this was so easy. At
Mm-hmm.
first, it was a little funny at first when you're not kind of trained in doing that. But if we would just speak up and just say it is what we need and have that conversation, the hard conversations that sometimes we don't want to have because we think we're going to hurt other people's
The
feelings,
person.
we
Mm-hmm.
might. But hey, just have the conversation, and we would probably we'll get further in our relationships. Um, and we'll have more successful relationships. But I'm not accepting that broke down and disgusted. I'm not going to struggle relationships anymore. think that's my third time saying.
Yeah, we know.
And I don't
I,
encourage anybody else to do it either, because
right.
it's really does take a toll on your mental health. Um, a lot of women, we take on, if I don't watch sports and stuff like that, but I would do pretty much anything I would get into and mold myself for somebody else, right? I still have my own things or whatever that's going on, and I'm gonna do that. But like, if you're into sports, then I'm gonna try to learn sports, because that's probably gonna be something that we can connect with or whatever, like that
Yeah.
will help you, that will help us have a more successful relationship. Because at the end of the day, again, we get one life, and at the end of a lifetime, what would it matter if I went sat down for a couple of football games, or
Yeah.
what out of the whole entirety of your life, is it gonna kill you? Now if
Yeah.
you're taking over the relationship, that's totally different thing, like, so I'm gonna learn who you are, what you want, and different things, and I'm going to, try to connect with you where I can connect with you. And sometimes it's gonna be some things that I may or may not like, but basic finances is not one of them where I'm going to I'm not going to sacrifice that, because that is it's a hard knock life. I've been there, and this I'm crossing over to Jordan now. I have 40 years of walking through the desert. I'm crossing over to the Jubilee, I'm trying to get my milk and honey. That's where I'm going. So, yeah. But yeah, I thank you guys for being here. Y'all want to say any last words? Because we have been here for what, an hour and 45 minutes.
This was fun. I really enjoyed it. MJ, I have one last question. What is your goal in marriage? I mean, I know I get it. I get it not being happiness. I'm not refuting you on that, but I just would like to know what would be your goal as a man.
In my marriage, I think we're in a partnership to create a life for ourselves and our children, and to provide for those, and even our extended family, to take
Mhm.
care of all of them. So um, that's definitely one of the goals. We have some individual goals.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know, happiness, maybe, I want to have a comfort level where, we don't have to worry about, certain things. Uh, but, that's a fundamental thing, is just taking care of each other.
Yeah,
So the
I
happiness
get it.
would be the derivative of all the things that you're already working on. That's not the
Yeah.
original goal, but who's not happy? Well, okay, I'm not gonna say who's not, because we know we can find some. But
Mhm.
most of the time, if you're taken care of financially, you're taken care of emotionally, spiritually, physically, that will lead
You're
to
gonna
happiness,
be
right?
happiness,
You know,
right?
and not just one thing. Because if you try to, because happiness is so temporary, right? And so you
Yeah.
cannot
And
Very.
feel that.
that's why the
You
divorce
can't.
rate is at like
Yeah,
60% in
that's
this
why
country.
you
Mhm.
can't fulfill that for anybody. That is an individual intrinsic thing, and it's
Mhm.
temporary, it's fleeting. So it's not something to try to make somebody. I cannot make you whole if you're not. A man could do everything for a woman, provide for her, but if she is not happy, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. Like, it's emotionally depressed, and that goes for on the
Men
same
as
side as a
well.
woman. You can do
Mhm.
any, like, you could provide. This is the thing with the brokenness. You could provide everything for a man. The man can have everything, but if he's not happy inside with who he is, what he's doing, or whatever it is, there's nothing you can pull him out of that. But being there, sometimes people need that comfort, but at the same time, you at the end of the day, you got to do the hard work, the mental work that it takes to get you to um I hate to say happiness, but joy. I say joy because joy is a little bit more
Yeah.
permanent. Joy is, I'm still getting up, even though I don't like my job, but I'm thankful and grateful for a good husband, for kids, or whatever it is, even though I got to go work this 12-hour shift.
Mhm.
I'm thankful that I get to see my child maybe 1 hour out the day if I'm a single parent mom, and, hug and love on them, but I still got to get up and go to work. So having joy is a little bit, that's the more attainable for me. Whereas Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm not. But I cannot I can't be the happiness for somebody. So I need you to come to the table um whole, because a broken person is a hard thing to it's just hard,
Mhm.
and we all gonna have our broken moments, um and but you can't fix people, and you
Yeah.
can't be somebody's happiness, because we don't own anybody. We can't own anybody, and so that's why I even hate saying my man and all of that, because we can't own anybody. Like at
Mhm.
any point in time, somebody can get up and
Out your
walk
life.
right.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, they can. At any time, somebody can get up and walk out. Whether look, I've worked in the mental health department, so I know 30-year marriages, people 60, 70, they've been married 50 years, people leave. It
Mhm.
happens, and it happens more frequently
And then we think.
than you think.
Mhm.
So, and that's a different topic, about financial preparedness, because a lot of women don't know the finances in the marriage, and the husband dies or something happens or they're left, and now what do they have to do? They have to rebuild, and you've been at home all this time not working. You don't have any funds of your own. So there's you know, this finance thing is it's not about money, it's about the everything else.
Yeah.
All
Well, I
right.
can't
So
wait
yeah,
to do this
I
again.
see
So
this little
thank y'all.
smirk. We need a part two.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
good.
this is fun. Yeah.
Oh, we need
All
to bring
right.
on some other people, because I think I know I'm single. MJ married. Parker, are you single or married?
I'm single.
Okay, so we got two singles. We need some different
We need a
marriage,
married
divorce,
woman.
and divorce. You need divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Need some different perspectives to come on board, so we can talk about these relationships and money. But tell you like what Anthony O'Neill, don't be dating out here. You broke. Oh, all right. Well, it was good
Right.
to see you all. Nice to
All
meet
right.
you all.
It's been fun.
MJ, the
It's
realist.
been fun. Thank you so much. I enjoyed this. Hopefully, y'all have me back.
Oh man, you know it definitely. Now look, we might have to change this show to. It know it's about money, but we can open it up and have we can. I can finally just say we're gonna have our culture conversations. Now we usually have these conversations at late night, don't we? We'll be up at midnight to 1, and it's strictly we talk about all kind of stuff. Some stuff we just have to do offline in Zoom. We like, hey, y'all want to join the
Hmm.
conversation? Come on, because
Yeah.
this might get somebody fired, or this might like break up a happy home. So we can't
Yeah.
always share our opinions. But no, it's been great, and I am Rashida Roberts. Thank y'all for watching Cashflow Convo Podcast Show. You can visit me on www.thecashflowconvo.com. Thank Parker. Thank MJ. I know we're all in it to help people finances and get homes and different things like that. So it's great to be amongst friends in that area. So I am going to end it, but thank you guys
Bye.
for being
Have a
here.
good night.
And
Have a good night.
all right, y'all take care.
You too. Bye.